Does the self exist? This is a big question in non-duality. People can argue this till the cows come home, right? Do cows exist? Does the self exist? Well, of course it does. We wouldn't be arguing about it. Why are we arguing about it? We have a word, S-E-L-F, self. You define it one way, I define it one way. We try to make it mean something, and then we argue about it. Does it exist? Well, of course it does. Otherwise, how could we argue about it? Like, let's argue about... Can't argue about that, can we? That was nothing. And actually, does the self exist? Yes. There is a sense that human beings have of this separate self. It's composed of so many different things. It's composed of all of our illusions about things, my unhappiness, my sadness, my whatever, who did what to me, my money. We are so attached to our money, we actually turn that into a separate self. So does that exist? Yeah, yes. It's a false thing too, so it doesn't actually exist. In a way, it's our imagination. So when you look directly at this thing that you think is yourself, it will just disappear. Does that mean it doesn't exist? You could say, of course it does. You could also say, of course it doesn't. Because the arguments about it just kind of don't make sense, or they're just not valid. The only thing that matters is who is looking at this self. Now, even when you're awake, you kind of still have this self. You've been taught to react negatively to certain things. You've been taught to react positively to certain things. A lot of these are very, very valid, because if somebody's lying to you, you need to kind of have this sense that something's not right. So this kind of creates this sense of self. But this separate imaginary thing, that's not who you are. The second you're actually you, then this sense of self is now just really kind of a tool. It's kind of, it's like your clothes. You put on your clothes. Clothes are a perfect example. We wear clothes to give ourselves a sense of self. That's why there's so many different outfits. You can wear a different thing that gives you this different sense of self. So it's a sense. Does a sense exist? Yes, it does. Then we can look at it a totally different way. Does the self exist? No, absolutely not. The second you can get rid of your addiction to this false feeling of self, then you become free and you're enlightened. So we can also say that as well. So long as we're using it as a tool of self-understanding, we can define it any way we want to define it. Self-awareness. Are you aware of yourself? And so much of self-awareness is getting in touch with your issues, right? Are you your issues? No, you're not. Do they exist? Yes, they do. They certainly seem to be a driving force in everybody's lives. Can they be overcome? Yes. And then they kind of just float away into nothing. But does that mean that they didn't exist at all? You could say yes. You could say no. So this is the beauty of non-duality, is it gives us this place where we can go either way. as we're opening ourselves up to finding out who is the true human being down underneath all these conceptions that we have. And then, of course, hopefully most vitally is, how do we, as these awake human beings, learn to live with each other? And how do we open up new ways of being humans? Does the self exist? No. Does the self exist? Yes. Back and forth and back and forth. Who is experiencing this self? That's what I'm always pointing towards.